All right, Dean Blandino, former NFL senior vice president of officiating. Just my opinion, but since you left, the league's not as well officiated. And I've said that when you're not here, not just when you're here. All right, here's something that bothers me. You know, we think of the NFL as this brilliantly run organization, but I do feel sometimes that they're bowing to pressure. Gail Benson, Saints, popular franchise, pressure, change the rule. And yesterday, my takeaway was, what was the hurry, Dean, to change the pass interference rule?
Yeah, I think what the NFL did yesterday is they won the press conference, right? They won the press conference. But as we all know, that's only part of it. Now, similar to last year when they put the helmet rule in last minute, now we've got to figure out all the unintended consequences and vet out where normally the competition committee has months to go through this, think about it. Obviously, the play happened in the NFC Championship game. No one wants to see that type of mistake affect a game. But is replay truly the fix here? Or is it the officiating on the field and making sure they have good direction, they're coached up, they know what pass interference is, and they're going to make the call when it has to be made? One
of the things I've repeated a couple of times today, I don't want my pilots having to learn a new cockpit every year. I want fewer rules, rare changes. NFL's always been very nimble in terms of changing. Could I make the argument last 3 years since you left, there's just too many changes?
I think it's been, even when I was there, and we really pushed back on this, you don't want to change 10, 15 rules changes a year. The game is in good shape.
Yeah.
Now you add layers upon layers upon layers. Officiating is hard enough.
Oh, God. Game's never been faster.
It's never been faster.
There's no huddles anymore.
There's more plays. There's more scoring. There's more scrutiny. And now we're going to add, okay, you got to learn 10 new rules every year. We're going to throw it at you at the last minute. Kickoff formations, helmet rule, all of these things. And it's made officiating almost impossible.
And, by the way, the technology, now fans can see every mistake because literally there's 80 cameras.
Exactly.
You have the convergence of more cameras, better slow-mo, more rules, harder to officiate, game is faster. You know, again, I'll go back to the plane analogy. It would be like planes are harder to fly, there's more in the sky, and we're changing the cockpit, and pilots are getting older and slower. It's like at some point, that's when you have crashes. Okay, let's go to the pass interference. Here's what I worry about. Because coaches still only have 2 challenges. So you can't do it all game. Pass interference is dicey. Because I showed a clip in the Super Bowl earlier where Chris Hogan's running down the field, and he gets jammed against the Eagles. Now, that's not pass interference because Brady still had the ball.
Exactly.
But nothing was called on that. Do you see... The catch rule was created to create precision, and it created more fuzz.
Correct.
Okay, my question is, what do you do with a Hail Mary? If you're going to judge it by letter of the law, they're all pass interference.
That's the key, because you have the letter of the law, and then you have how the practical guidelines, how it's officiated. Right, the bang-bang play, because the official can see it in real time, only sees it once. The bang-bang play, where it all occurs around the same time, that's not pass interference. Well, now, are we going to overanalyze it to the point where the defender got there a split second, a frame early? That is now pass interference, and guess what? That's a 40-yard foul. Are we going to go to that degree? The end of the game, the Hail Mary, you always tell officials, it has to be a complete... Egregious, flagrant.
So here's the funny thing. Pass interference is the largest penalty in American sports. It can be a 60-yard penalty.
Sure.
So it should be, in my opinion, officiated with great discretion. Okay, so I am all for allowing a ton of pushing because it's just like anything else. If you go 5 miles over the speed limit, you shouldn't end up in jail.
Yeah, exactly.
It shouldn't be that punitive. It's the most punitive call in American sports, right? So it could be a 60-yard penalty. What would you do in a Hail Mary? And once, by the way, you call one Hail Mary PI.
Now you've set it. Now you've set a standard, and now, well, wait a minute. You called that one at the end of that game, and that's my concern. I think you have to have a standard look. It has to be clear and obvious. Even the non-Hail Mary, it has to be clear and obvious. But the thing is, look, the play in the NFC Championship game was obvious. The majority of pass interference calls are not that obvious.
Totally subjective.
They're not that obvious.
And when you go to slow-mo, Dean.
No question.
That you grabbing me like Joy and I run next to each other, she hits my arm. But in slow-mo, when you see my arm bend, it's like, oh, that's an obvious.
You've got to rule on the contact, when it occurred. Did it occur? Did it restrict the receiver's ability to make a play on the ball? And we're just talking defensive pass interference. Now, offensive pass interference with all the hand fighting that takes place. Was it a push off? Did the defender initiate the contact? Did the receiver? Now you're asking a replay official inside 2 minutes to initiate those reviews on those types of plays.
Can I ask you, have you heard from any officials this morning?
I haven't yet. I'll start to get those text messages. I think the on-field officials, it won't change what they do. I think the replay officials, you have 17 crews, 17 replay officials that are sitting there now, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the rule book right now boning up on their pass interference rules.
Is there a rule you would like to see implemented or altered? Because you're for fewer and less changes. Is there one you would...
Yeah, for me, I'm all about making it simpler, and I don't like a lot of conferences on the field. I don't like a lot of stoppages in the game. I would look at, let's make replay simpler and let's take away some of the reviewable categories. Because, look, replay was created to fix the egregious mistake.
That's right.
It has morphed into, we are looking at plays.
For perfection.
Exactly. And it's an impossible standard.
Here's the other thing. That one thing you cannot deny, and I think in football more than any other, momentum is a real thing in sports. Replays kill momentum.
No question.
It gives defensive players in football time to rest. When you go watch an NBA game and a player comes down the lane, dunks on somebody else, the crowd goes crazy. You go to a 3-minute replay. You've stolen. Fans should matter. Rest should not be available because of technology.
We always worked with our replay officials inside 2 minutes that you're not there to fix every potential mistake because you can give a team a timeout, you can create an advantage, momentum, all of those things. So a 4 or 5 yard pass, okay, maybe it's incorrect, leave it alone. But you do worry about becoming overly technical, and now are we going to have 4, 5, 6 stoppages? I hope not. I don't think there will be, but the potential's there on pass interference plays inside 2 minutes.
Okay, I go back to this. This is my crazy rule. The umbrella rule is that I just have one rule. 2 minutes left in a game. You can review anything if it's egregious, not the coaches. The league can, this probably happen, every once, twice a week. The league can say, Rams Saints, missed it, review it.
Yeah.
Not the coaches. You can't throw a penalty flag. It's called the umbrella rule, last 2 minutes, and it would be a stoppage of play. Guy upstairs goes, bing, bing, bing. We got an egregious. Is that crazy?
Yeah, no, it's not crazy. And look, we're doing some things, in the Alliance of American Football, they have a sky judge. That is exactly what the sky judge is there to do. In the egregious mistake at the end of the game,
Saints, Rams,
or it's a player safety where the safety of the player is concerned, they can buzz down, communicate with the crew wirelessly in their ear. Hey, that's a flag. Put it down. And I think that's reasonable. I just feel like we have to figure out the way to do that seamlessly and not interrupt the game unnecessarily.
Former NFL Senior VP of Officiating, Dean Blandino. Good seeing you, buddy.
You too.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.